Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, Aston Villa 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Say it quietly, but something's happening, mate. Something is happening.
Do we have to say it quietly? Is that a Monday or I
Scream on it.
just shout about this one? To be honest with you, yes, man, yes. We've spoken for so long about how important this run of games was, but mate, what a week! What a week! 3 wins, two in the Premier League against fellow European chasing opposition into an FA Cup semi-final. The sun is coming out. The beer gardens are full. What's not to love, mate? It's been a great week. In the life of an Aston Villa Football Club supporter. Absolutely one of the best for a while. And I dare say, hopefully, we've got a few more to come as well before the end of the season.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. But I don't think there's ever been a more appropriate game where the expression a game of two halves has ever been more true. This is textbook, mate. This is absolutely textbook. And it's also like I feel like this result and the Villa Filler podcast in general. I don't want to come on here and gloat and talk about how incredibly smart, Dan and I are, but like we were right about Daniel Marlon. What a week this guy's had.
Yep.
Unbelievable goal against Brighton. He takes his goal unbelievably well in this game as well. And we'll divulge into that a little bit. But before the game, I was saying to my dad, like, Marlon's a striker. This is a striker who has been forced to play on the wing because of some unknown Norwegian fella that signed for Borussia Dortmund, and he might be a decent striker. I don't know. Like Man City took a punt on him. He may turn good one day. And as a result of that, Marlon has been forced to play out on the wing, which isn't really his position. And in the limited game time we've seen of him, I don't think he's looked bad. I don't think we've both said a number of times, mate, that like the lack of minutes is somewhat puzzling. Obviously, Unai sees things that we don't see, but in terms of what I've seen when he's played for us, I thought he's always looked very industrious. He's put himself about, looks really strong. And these two games have solidified that Daniel Marlon is absolutely maybe the striker that we can rely on that we haven't really had all season.
Yeah. Hey, mate. Fair play to him. What was nice is it feels like you finally got the goal that he spiritually deserved against Wolves. It's first virtually like a carbon copy of that chance. A really, really nice kind of connection with Ian Matson as well. Obviously the two Dutch internationals, and so hey, like full credit to Unai, because I have to say I don't want to say skeptical, but I think it was an interesting starting lineup. I was surprised to see, no Kamara. Onana was in from the start. Obviously, it's 8 changes in total. And so for a game that was, I thought, to kind of take it back to the top, mate, I thought it was a really bizarre game,
It was.
actually. I'd kind of been building it up all week, to the neutrals in the office and stuff, saying, hey, you want to make sure that whatever your weekend plans are, that you're seated for the 5:30 on Saturday, because it's going to be a real barn burner. I thought it was going to be an absolute thriller. And I thought, initially just Forest in the first half, I thought, and then kind of eventually us once we got the 2-goal lead, really. I thought it was quite a tepid first half, really. I thought the game, what I thought was going to be, so well fought, so intense, a real scrap between two sides that are kind of fighting, maybe not so much Forest, but certainly us fighting tooth and nail for very kind of similar positions at the end of the season when it all comes out in the wash. I thought it was, challenges would have been flying in, the atmosphere would have been, red hot. And, it's not to say that it wasn't a good game in its own right, but I was slightly surprised by, we kind of went two goals up, felt like we were quite happy to kind of see out the half. Forest, they obviously started with a 5 at the back, and you could tell that the system didn't really suit them. And then, to be honest with you, it kind of felt that they were just waiting to get in at half time to change things. They did. They went back to the 4 back, and they kind of definitely changed for the better. But yeah, I thought it was a really, really strange game. And to be honest with you, once we had the second goal, I think the game state affected the way that we played. It felt like it became this really kind of, I don't want to say that we were coasting, but it felt like the warning signs were kind of coming and coming, and Forest had more than their fair chance, fair share amount of chances. Like how they've kind of only come away with it with one goal, and I know that's kind of a real high level summary of the game, but we kind of came firing out the blocks, and it wasn't until really until like 5 minutes into the second half that Forest got going. But it's a really really nice crafted goal as well. The first one, Yuri into Morgs,
Oh
and
my
you know
days.
there's kind of two players. I mean, look, like if I was a betting man, Morgan Rogers is your player of the season probably come the end of it all. But yeah, I think a word to Yuri Tielemans, because when we look back on this season in 5 or 10 years time, he's not going to be a name that crops up an awful lot. He's not got a huge amount of goals. He's not one that's kind of made the headlines, but he's one that's kind of done such a good job in that midfield, and maybe that won't be reflected on the score sheets or in the match reports in years to come. But yeah, a quiet word for him, because yeah, at the end of season awards, he's probably not going to pick up exactly what maybe he deserves for someone that's been so consistent throughout the season. So it was a really really nice kind of combination between the two, and then yeah, you get that lovely goal from Maron.
It's like he played that ball against Sheffield United last season, didn't he?
Yep.
For whose goal
Yep.
was it? I think was it Dougie or was it Dougie?
Yeah,
One of the two.
I did.
I think it was
Dougie
Dougie
sprung to
actually.
mind for me as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, Yuri's done this so many times, and the ball's outrageous. The takedown from Morgs, wow! And it's not even a surprise at this point. Finishes left foot, right foot. It doesn't matter for him. He's gonna get it on target. He's gonna get it in the back of the net, and he put it through Sel's legs as well, which obviously makes it that bit more enjoyable. Um, I think it's interesting because I think like the system you alluded to, Forest coming to back five. Obviously, they have key men missing in Ola Aina and Chris Wood. I've seen some people argue, well, we had two players out as well, Ross Barkley and Leon Bailey. All right, it's the same Leon Bailey that people have been slagging off all season, and Ross, who when he has played, has generally, in my opinion, and I think you share the same thoughts, Dan. When he has played, has been one of our better players this
Yep.
season. He just hasn't
Yep.
played enough, so it's not really like a fair comparison. You're taking out one of the Premier League's best strikers and right backs this season, and it's like horses for courses, really. But the change of system, I think it's something that we'd clearly expected, and I think the personnel that featured in this match, it was clear for me, with the rotation as well. But this was always going to be a game for Ian Matson, and what a game it was. Arguably his best performance of the entire season, but specifically that first half. He had so much space in behind Dominguez and Morato on that side to work the channels with Morgs. Ollie was coming out to the left as well. The fact that Matson at like 12 minutes in was able to get a shot on target from with it like well within inside the box just goes to show the liberties that man was able to take, which is obviously delightful because we need to rotate, we need to rest players, but like we need players who are stepping in to step up, and I feel like that's exactly what Matson did. And obviously he's crucial in that second goal as well. It's a delightful cross, and I've watched it back so many times, and I keep spotting different things every time I watch it. So there's Ollie wrestling with Murillo on like the edge of the
Yeah.
box, which I completely missed in the time, and it took a few opportunities to see that. But pretty much as soon as Ian puts that ball in the box, he's off to celebrate with the fans in the north stand. He knew that Daniel was gonna hit. He was gonna hit the back of the net, which I just absolutely love. They got that connection like dialed in. He takes it so well. It's a striker's finish, and yeah, I think we'll see. Well, I hope we see more of Daniel. I was surprised to see him hooked off, and Garcia as well, because I don't think Garcia was bad per se, but the second half, towards the end of the first half, you could see that we were starting to lose the game a little bit, and it felt like we needed a third goal in that first half to completely like you could secure the 3 points at halftime by getting a third goal. Totally knocks the wind out of Forest sails. Halftime, then we can rotate it, take your foot off the gas. I don't even think it was a case of us taking our foot off the gas. I just think that we became sloppier. In the second half, we started playing all these long balls from goal kicks that we just weren't playing in the first half that were going to nobody, whether it was Ollie, whether it was Rashford. None of them were sticking. There was one instance I remember where we actually decided to play it out to the right. Morgan had swapped sides at this point because JJ was on the pitch, and Morgan, he manages to win the ball initially from the goal kick, mainly because he's come up against one of Santa's elves in Murillo, who's absolutely tiny. So, like, I mean, why wouldn't we stick it on him anyway? But then Murillo's hugging him and just will not let go of the guy, fouls Morgan. Obviously, nothing's given because the referee was atrocious in this game. Um, but it was so frustrating that we were like, I don't understand why we decided to try and be more direct when there was so much space in the midfield that Anderson and Yates were leaving because they were both trying to put out fires here, there, and ever. But when we played through Forest, it was so easy. It was genuinely so easy. So I don't understand why we insisted on going direct the whole time in the second half, mate.
Yeah, I think especially considering the luck that we were having, kind of obviously I know they'd changed shape by this point, and so it's kind of hard to compare it to the ground that we were making in the first half. But the way that the fullbacks were cracking on, the way that we seem to be always finding balls. I think that their right hand side was Dominguez and Morato in the first half, and it felt like down the left particularly we just we were able to kind of take liberties with Rogers and Matson going down that side, Asensio floating, and there was always a ball on or 1-2 could be pot round for an advancing fullback, and they were in all sorts of trouble really. And then once they kind of changed, as you say, it's reflected in the subs that Unai then had to make. We make I think it was a quadruple sub, wasn't it? Was it 3 or 4 that came on?
Really, yeah, it was three straight away, which he never really does. It was like 60 minutes as well, which he usually leaves it till 75, normally 80.
Yeah, it was, brought the cavalry on because, you could see that the tide was changing. There's a really, really good chance for Nico Williams, particularly that, more 2 or 3 good chances really kind of across. He has one really late on in the game as well. But it was an interesting, we had ours as well. It did become end to end. Once you started to get to kind of the 75-minute mark, obviously Rashford has a good chance. Morgan has a good, both one-on-one saved by Sells. And so there's, we had our chances as well, but it didn't really feel like it became as a result of intensity. Both sides, despite all the rotation, it wasn't played at a kind of furious tempo. It looked a little bit leggy, to be honest with you. Obviously, 2 of these sides have played so much football, but it was a really quite kind of expansive game, and who knows, potentially a preview of the FA Cup final as well. But who knows? But we got it done in the end. But it was, and then obviously Murillo right at the end, and it cracks that one off the crossbar.
Does that every week, doesn't he? He's going to score one of them eventually. I don't know about you, mate.
Rudiger. I think Rudiger kept trying this for Chelsea and then eventually spanked one in from 30 yards. As long as it doesn't come up against us, I'd quite like to see it Spurs to be.
It's how you get you moved to Real Madrid. It's smart. I respect it. I do respect it. I don't know about you, mate. I thought that the substitution of Garcia for Conte really unsettled us. And I can understand the thinking of moving Disasi to right back because he's played there before, and obviously you've got the years of connection between Tyrone and Esri at centre half. But Disasi looked like he didn't know where he needed to be. He was constantly sinking almost too deep. The amount of times Esri was having to step out of position at centre half, we just looked really off balance. And as you said, they changed their system down that side. Williams was getting down to the touchline way more. Jota Silva was just busy everywhere when he came on as well. But I thought it really threw us off balance, and it Esri could have just come on at right back. It didn't we didn't have to overcomplicate things ourselves and sort of shoot ourselves in the foot with this a little bit, for lack of a better expression. There were so many big chances in this game, mate. Kamara. I know Kamara scored for us. Kamara scored for us against Everton, I think it was, in the Cup. A game which nobody went to because I'm pretty sure it was after that Stevenage Cup game, which was diabolical. So no, like I know, like there was not even 20,000 people in the stadium. I didn't go, and I think they priced it weirdly as well. I think it was like 50 quid for a ticket. So loads of people were like, "We ain't going." I know Kamara scored in that game. I can't remember for the life of me if he scored with his head, if he scored with his feet, his ass, whatever. But Kamara feels like every time he gets the ball and has the opportunity to shoot, it's miles over the crossbar. Like he's got everything. He's like the perfect midfielder. If the guy could like learn to shoot, he would probably be unstoppable.
Yeah, yeah. I think when we got him from Marseille, he was kind of still flitting between being a DM and being a centre half. Obviously, we've played him at centre half as well, and so yeah, I think every now and again that shines through, doesn't it? I'm just trying to look at his goal record, see in total how many goals he has for us. I do think it is one.
Mine isn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last season. Yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. No goals for France. He only has 5 career goals, which is pretty incredible from 285 games. And so yeah, I don't think he's probably one to expect too much from, but yeah, I think, mate, if it's a string that he could add to his game, then yeah, boy, what a player.
There was the Kamara chance. There was the Matson chance in the first
Yeah.
half. There was the Rogers chance in the second half, which you mentioned, where he. I'm really conflicted on this because he should have crossed it to Rashford, right? But he comes inside, beats his man, and as far as I'm concerned, at that point, it's fair game.
Yeah,
Like
mate, 100.
you've already decided I'm gonna be selfish here. You've beaten the man. You've done like excellently to do that. So like I don't really have an issue with him shooting there. And like Sells gets down to it right at the last second and manages to somehow stop the ball with his arse. Otherwise, it's we're in a totally different position. Morgs, there's no discourse about whether he should have passed it or not anyway. And as you said, the Rashford one was really close. We had loads of chances, but so did Forest. So did Forest. So it was really good for me that we. I mean, the clean sheet would have been nice. It was frustrating to concede as early as we did in that second half, and it was from that right hand side, which we've just said was displaced and just wasn't looking balanced at all. But we've got through this. We've rotated players. I would have liked to have seen Amadou, Marlon, Garcia, Matson. I mean, Matson played the whole game, but those guys get more minutes because obviously on Tuesday it's PSG. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? It's Wednesday, sorry.
Wednesday, yeah.
So Wednesday it's PSG. Then we go away to Southampton, and then it's back to Villa Park with PSG on Tuesday after that, and then it's Newcastle at home. So I want to knock on wood. I know Southampton have actually looked semi decent in their recent games, but that fixture's fallen in a nice place for us to put out a similar side to what we saw yesterday that is more than capable of getting the job done. Because if that team can beat Nottingham Forest, then they should definitely be able to beat Southampton. Knock on wood. I don't mean any disrespect to Southampton whatsoever, but I think it's fair to assume that that team that started would beat Southampton pretty comfortably and hopefully keep a clean sheet. Now it's just like it's panic stations and thinking about all the possibilities of PSG, really, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, all our eyes on that one now, mate. Absolutely. Although, Southampton, they have literally, as we've been recording, mate, just been relegated from the Premier League. And you do sometimes get that weird kind of teams get relegated and then all of a sudden start playing a whole lot better.
Weight off the shoulders, Joleon Lescott.
That classic cliche. But yeah, I mean, it has, definitely come at a good time, mate. Definitely come at a good time. And it is more kind of, you look at the week with the home tie against PSG, and then I think Newcastle at home as well at the weekend. So yeah, the big games just kind of keep on coming, mate. But what an amazing position to go into this, PSG game with, because you look at the form that we're in. We've won 7 games now in all competitions. That's the first time since the famous 10-game winning run in the Championship that saw us promoted. It's the first time we've won seven in a row since 1981, which is in the top flight, that is, which is pretty remarkable. That year, we obviously won the league, won the Champions League the following year, which is, if that's not a good omen, I don't know what it is. And then there was another nugget as well that came out of this, which was quite nice. So that's the first time we've scored twice in the opening 15 minutes of a game since United at home in November 2022, which was, of course, United's first game.
Oh wow, that Wow,
Surprising.
that is surprising, and I've also seen that Emery is now the first Villa manager to have two separate 15-game unbeaten home runs in the Premier League. So he's done that twice. So
Impressive.
the first one was 17 games. It lasted from March to December in 2023, and we've currently not lost at home since September, which is mad. Especially like
Yeah.
we've spoken so many times recently, mate. I hate to sound like a broken record on the podcast, but about how at times this season kind of feels like it's been way worse than it actually is, and that it's really just certain results in isolation, like the Palace game, that really do make you think, Jesus Christ, like what a disaster the season's been. But as I mentioned on the last podcast, if we beat Man City, if we beat Newcastle, fourth is comfortably ours. You know, depending on us winning other games, which again we should be winning. Um, it's been a crazy season. It's been a crazy season, and long may that continue.
I mean, history will look so kindly on this, this season. You look at kind of where we are in the league now. We've done so many of the hard yards that, I kind of looking at that tough run of games, the gauntlet that we had between now and the end of the season. And we've done so much of the hard work already to be sat here. Obviously, City kick off in 15 minutes in the Manchester derby. Chelsea have just drawn 0-0 away at Brentford, which is, a nice result for us. Yeah.
Liverpool hasn't done us any favors, but
yeah, hey, you can't have it all, right? And so it's like the results have definitely fallen our way. We're starting to capitalize on them as well. And so I mean, you look at another big game kind of coming up now is that away trip to the Etihad, which is the 22nd. I believe that's midweek.
the final.
Semi-final. What a huge game that could be. So there's still kind of big games to go, but to start this off with two massive wins against Brighton on the road and then Forest is a great way to start. And you do kind of feel that you're afforded not a slip up, but if you do go into a game and take a draw because of the hard work that we've done already, it wouldn't be the end of the world. And so that's a really, really good sign in that with every kind of win that we pick up now, certainly in the league, it takes the pressures off the games to go.
Definitely. It's a massive win. It can't be understated. Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed. Up the Villa.